All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am standing in front of the booth of what is known as one of the nicest and most professional guys in cue making. That's a pretty good compliment, because it's not just from one or two people. People always say that when they run into you at the expo, or they run into you at a show, or they contact you on the phone, that you're always very nice and you're always very professional. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. So you were sharing something with me that I would like to let everybody know. What is your history with this organization right now?
I've been involved with almost every ICCS show, and even the ones before, including Los Angeles, as an invited guest, or to help Richard Black or to do things around the show. But this is the very first time that I've ever been invited as a display and cue maker.
Congratulations!
Thank you. I'm very humbled by that, but I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, this is the most prestigious organization of its kind. I was talking to Jerry about that just a moment ago, about the history, and there's really no other organization or no other show like it in the world. So the fact that they invited you, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
John, tell us a little bit about your style of cues, and then if you could showcase some of the cues that you've got here on display.
I'm known very much as a traditional cue maker. Most of my designs fall in the traditional realm, whether it's an 8.1 like this with the barbells and split diamonds and dots, or 4 points, like a hoppy. This one's done in rosewood. I focus a lot on those. However, when I have the opportunity to make cues, that I say making cues when no one's watching, that's when I have a lot of fun.
You like to go wild a little bit, right?
Exactly, which will be seen when you look at the show that I made for the cue that I made for this show. The Elegance in White and Silver shows a little bit about what I want to do when I have the opportunity to just make a cue.
You get to let your hair down, no pun intended,
Literally.
right? Yeah, right. Let the hair down. Okay. Are you from New Jersey originally?
I am. I was born and raised in New Jersey.
Before you got into cue making, what was your background? What type of industry were you in?
I was in pharmaceuticals and IT and regulatory affairs for 20 years. I owned a school and office supply store for several years, and I did other odds and ends in between that. But those were the two main careers that I had prior to doing cues.
It's actually completely opposite of what you're doing now.
Completely different.
And that's interesting, because a lot of guys, they started off as cabinet makers, they started off as painters, some type of craftsman. So were you always really handy with woodworking growing up? Or?
No, I never did. I did almost no woodworking ever. And in fact, this is hard to admit, but the very first time I ever tapped a hole that I drilled was when I was converting a lathe to do tapering for my cues.
Wow.
I never did any of this work prior to that.
It's amazing.
So I just,
You learned pretty darn fast. How long have you been at it now, John?
This represents the 20th year since I made my first cue, but it took 5 years of building the shop and getting to the point where I turned that first cue out.
My question to you is this. When you accept an order, or whether it's going to a dealer or a retail customer, or you're making something for a show, from the time you first begin the project to the finished product that we're seeing here on the display, what is the normal time frame that it takes you to build a cue?
If I accept an order, I always base everything on a plain 4-point cue like this, something that's very straightforward, 4 veneers, 4 points, 2 shafts. From the time I accept the order till it's done is generally 6 to 9 months. However, if there's complications involved, like inlays or designs, or in the case of an 8-point cue like this one here, where there's other efforts, it could take another 2 to 4 months after that. So it's really anywhere from 6 to 12 months on a normal cue.
I like that, though. You're not rushing the process.
No, I can't.
It gives you plenty of time. Your point work is phenomenal, by the way.
Thank you.
You know what? I knew it was really good a few years ago. I didn't think it could get any better, but it has. I mean, your points are like super, super sharp. Any insight for the aspiring cue makers in regard to how you do points like that?
Take up violin making. It would be easier.
Take up violin making?
No, I'm only kidding. Pay attention. Pay attention to being on center, and don't rush cutting the point or getting the points to their final destination.
Gotcha.
I take an inordinate amount of time with just the blank, without the handle or the sleeve or anything attached, to make sure that those points are as close as they can absolutely be before I continue on with the process.
And you are a strong believer in the coring process as well, too, right?
No, I core almost nothing. I only core when it's either for stability or weight. None of the cues that are here are cored except for my elegance in silver and white.
So it's actually quite the opposite. So you build your cues uncored.
Uncored.
Unless it's a wood that needs to be cored.
Yeah, because of because of stability. Like most burls need to be cored because they would come apart if you didn't do that.
Interesting.
The moose antler that I use for the elegance cue is way too heavy. That had to be cored to bring the weight down. But otherwise, I prefer not to. There's no cord violins. There's no carbon fiber violins or cellos or double basses or anything because the wood needs to resonate. And in order to do that, it needs to be as natural as possible.
You guys just got a master class right there. Thanks for sharing that. Let's see that beautiful cue that you've got on display. Thank you so much.
Here's the shafts first, right there.
Wow.
That's the shaft work to match.
That was a master class right there, guys. Thank you, Mr. John Bender. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. It's going to take us over right now. So just so everybody knows, each time they have a cue show like this, the cue makers enter a cue. The cue is judged. And then people can also bid on the cue as well.
I need to take my cue out for just a moment. Thank you. Okay.
Wow.
This was my entry into elegance in silver and white this year.
Wow.
The theme was supposed to be based on 1920s Art Deco. The main cue is made out of moose antler from Alaska.
Moose antler.
Yeah. And the wrap is ringtail lizard from Indonesia. All of the lines that you see in the cue are sterling silver. There's approximately 12 feet of silver wire.
You say 12 feet?
Yeah, 12 feet.
12 feet
of silver wire. And then the inlays are the bright blue, such as these dots, is azurite malachite. The red, such as this dot up here, is red coral. And then all of the little inlays that are done with copper surround are made with a heat-cured polymer that is injected into the copper and then cut and inlaid into the cue. And those are done in turquoise, peacock, and what's the third color? Turquoise, peacock, and forgive me.
Okay.
I'm losing my mind.
Now this particular
cadmium yellow.
There you go. I knew it was in there. So this particular piece, in comparison to what we spoke about previously, time frame wise, when you first knew that you were committed to this show, I'm assuming you've been working on this thing all year, right?
Yeah, if I had to work out a regular cue, like a 4-point cue, there's approximately 35 to 40 hours into a 4-point cue. There's approximately 150 hours in this cue.
150 shop hours.
Shop hours, time.
Wow. Not to mention the prep time and everything else.
And the design, working it out. In the case, in this designing this silver where the silver laid was easy to get that pattern out. However, the colors need to appear random and you can't plan random. So I had to, with a little bit of whimsy, lay all the silver in and then come back and do the colors one at a time to make sure there was no overlaps, there weren't duplicates on any place, or to make it so that it really was randomized, but with some kind of a plan. And that took a lot of, it hurt my brain.
John, that thing is absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for showing this to us. Best of luck to you in the show. And once again, congratulations on your first invite to the International Cue Collector Show.
Thank
Mr.
you.
John Bender from New Jersey, not to be confused with Mike Bender from Alaska. You guys are not cousins, you're not related, right?
We are not related. Mike and I are friends. I've known him since he started making cues in the 80s, but we're totally different.
Yeah, he's out there in Alaska and you're in New Jersey.
Yes.
There you go, Mr. John Bender. Thank you, John. Nicest guy in cues, International Cue Collector Show 2025, Chattanooga, Tennessee.